Welcome to another podcast. When I say another, I'm just saying another because there's quite a few out there. But I believe that this would be of high value to you. And I believe there's something in it for you. And I believe that you should hold on and listen through for a few more minutes because there's things that excite you. And there's a wonderful speaker here with me who will give his insights on his journey and what it is all about. So, welcome to this Voice of Success channel. Essentially, what we mean by Voice of Success is there's a whole lot of professionals around us. Everyone's accomplished amazing milestones in their journey. What we want to provide is to provide a platform for those professionals to come through, sit with us, have a casual discussion, share their thoughts, share their success stories, so that there's at least a few of you out there who will be motivated by what you've heard, and there's a few learnings that you can take back. Now, the Voice of Success channel is not my brainchild, and I'll come to my introduction, but it is a brainchild of someone who I am very close with, who I admire quite a lot. And when that person came to me and discussed this idea, my first reaction was, yes, we should do it. And I was fortunate that I was able to collaborate and help him. But my second idea was that he should not be the first one to run the very first podcast. I wanted him to be a guest on his own podcast. So before I invite him on, my name is Navneet Pisharodi. I'm a Sitecore MVP residing in Auckland, New Zealand. But let's leave things for later for a further introduction of me. But let's, without any ado, get into introducing my first guest, the brainchild behind this podcast, and someone who I know, someone who I have been interacting with for many years now, someone who is very passionate about technology, someone who is very passionate about career, someone who is very passionate about other amazing non-technology activities. I'll leave it up to him to explain. Welcome, Nikhil. Welcome to the Voice of Success podcast. Welcome to the very first episode. It is a pleasure to have you. And can you briefly tell me what is the motivation and the purpose? I kind of briefly touched base, but your ideas are amazing. I've heard it personally, so I would like our audience to also listen to you. What is the motivation and purpose of this channel? There's tens of different channels out there. There's tens of different podcasts out there. How do you think this podcast or this channel would be a difference? Would make a difference for the community?
Hey, hi Navneet. Hi. Thank you for coming on this podcast channel. And thank you actually for giving me that idea that I should not be the one who is taking an interview for the very first time in the podcast, but I should be the one who will give a interview first or a casual talk first on this podcast. So coming back to your question, how this came in my mind is or why this motivates me. It's just I saw that there are so many podcasts, not just for maybe for Sitecore, the technology I and you might be working now quite a long time, but even the other technological podcast, I saw that people speak more for the technology but they don't speak more for themselves. That means that we know the technology, we know how passionate that person might be, but we don't know the person itself, like what they do other than what they are doing for the technology. So the reason behind starting this podcast is the similar one, that here we will try and get the people with their insights, not just for the technology but overall, like how they started, maybe what drives them to this software industry, what's their thought process, how they struggled, and now at what level they are, their success story, and what they think for the next future technologies which are coming, and the future of maybe Sitecore or maybe another technologies. It depends on the person. So yeah, that's how actually I thought of starting a podcast channel, which will basically give the platform to that kind of personalities who will come to this channel, and then they will try and actually we will try, or I will try to get some answers from them. And I thought that those answer might help the other community members. So that's how I thought of this one.
Wonderful, wonderful. It is always wonderful when, as I always share, you can do wonders in your field, but unless you share those activities with others within the the community,
Community.
no one's going to benefit. You would continue doing wonders, but when you actually do wonders combined with a few others is when it brings a lot more value. So it's good that you're doing this, Nikhil. I know you for a while. The very first time I met you, some of my first impressions were how passionate you were about software engineering, how passionate you were about whatever you were doing, irrespective of whether it's something at work or something outside. I know you're passionate about classical music. I know um, how passionately you listen to that. So keeping things aside, I know that you've been in the software engineering industry for many years now. What factor excites you to this day? What factor makes you continue motivated on this software engineering journey?
So, I mean, as you mentioned, that I have not just the passion about the software or software development, but have a passion in different areas also, like as you mentioned, Indian classical music. But yeah, I mean, I have another interest also, like cooking, and I'm a like pro home cook also. But coming back to the question, like what drives me or what basically uh, sticks me in the software engineering or software development is, I'll just share the one of the recent thing I saw. So I was just scrolling through some reels on YouTube, and I saw that someone who is an Indian actually, but he is living in US, and he actually, with the help of AI and ML, he actually try and replicate the voices of different singers through the AI ML models. And the song which was sung by someone else, now we have a similar song with so many different singers in one go. So why I shared this particular thing is that basically in software development, or in the software industry overall, um, everything today is just learning, and then that makes you more, I would say, it's basically giving you a feeling that, oh, I want to do something next, I want to do something next. So that feeling of thriving something new, and discovering something new, and get to that point and get that done, uh, that basically gives me a motivation or passion, and that basically try and attract me more towards the software development and the industry actually. So long story short, yeah, things like this actually helps me to still stick with software engineering and software development. And I really wanted to do something similar to this one, not exactly the AI ML, to be honest, but yeah, something which is like also a fun, and as well as which will help the society with something like that. So that's how I'm thinking that things actually help me to get this the things and attracting towards the software development.
Nikhil, it's good that you mentioned AI and ML. Artificial intelligence is the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone wants to implement it. I think that's going to be a buzzword for another few years. But even before you got to all of this, you've been here in this software engineering industry for a while. I bet that you work with many technologies. Um, I know just for a fact, just because you mentioned that you had an idea about doing a variety of things for general mankind in terms of basic software. I know how you had that idea about helping the farming community. I'm not going to
Yes.
elaborate on it because you can do that. I've
Yeah.
been fortunate to listen to some of those stories. But
Yeah,
of all the technologies that you worked, let's first start with what all technologies you've been interacting with, and can you also tell us, is there one specific that you are slightly more passionate than the rest? I would use the slightly more passionate.
yeah,
I don't want to say, you know, you're extremely passionate about, because, as you said, technology evolves every single day. Your
yeah.
passion could be one, your passion could be another one next day, and there's
Another.
nothing wrong about it. But of all the technologies that you work with over the many years, you build up a slight affection towards another specific technology. So, in short, can you tell us what all technologies that have you been interacting with, and is there one that you are slightly more passionate in terms of, your affection towards working on that?
Yeah, sure. So the when I started my corporate journey, even before that, I used to do some development with .NET, basically with the desktop-based applications. So that started in 2012, I believe. Yeah, 2012. So when I say that, basically desktop-based applications in .NET platform, then I started my corporate career. I stuck to web development. I came to a ASP.NET, then .NET MVC. Then I moved to a little bit of Azure DevOps, and then I started Sitecore. Then I started with Optimizely, which is EP server back in days. Then I also done recently I done a kind of pre-sale work for Umbraco. Then I also done something for Sitecore Content Hub. I also done some work, or not just the corporate, whatever I'm mentioning right now, it's overall in my entire career till today. I also done something called embedded C++, and I also done something called Arduino C, which is a different version of embedded C now, which is mostly used in the IoT devices, specifically devices in the Arduino family, which is a whole hell lot of devices in Arduino family, which is basically a robotics one. So apart from that, I done more in the Azure DevOps also. Then I also done a few things related to Git and GitHub. I have my own public projects on GitHub, where I like people to contribute on top of my projects. I have several modules for Sitecore published in their older community based module marketplace. uh Now I'm also doing something, not just technology but more into space like solution architect. I'm doing a solution architectures. Then I'm also doing some pre-sales right now. So yeah, I mean, if I mention apart from that, there are a few other things which I done, like something called Azure B2C, Azure AD. Then I done, there are so many things I can speak it, there is a long list. Okta. Then I done integrations. Currently I'm doing integration with something called Cypher. um, so yeah, there are so many, but adding to the other point which you ask, which one is more towards my heart, that is Sitecore, specifically Sitecore XP, because XP is the one product of Sitecore as a company, uh, which is a full-fledged digital experience platform where you can do so many things for your clients, or even if you are doing for your own organization, you can have a hell lot of features coming into your web application what you wanted to build. So yeah, my slightly more lovable skill or technology is Sitecore. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Wonderful, wonderful. And there were a few things that you said there that kind of triggered a few thoughts for me. Technology is key, important. it's important for the success of mankind, I should say. Every country strives on technology. The fun fact is, I sit right across from the world from you. So if you look at the map, we are on two different sides of the map or the globe.
Yeah.
And yet we are here talking to each other like as if we were talking to each other from right across the room. And all of this is not possible without the advent of technology, without the advancement of technology. And it's good that you've kind of shared quite a lot of tech stacks over the many years. But now coming to Sitecore, you mentioned that Sitecore is definitely a tech platform or a digital experience platform that you are affectionate about. Um, Obviously, over the past many years, there would be aspects of working on Sitecore that would have triggered such an affection. Um, can you briefly tell us, what drives your passion in terms of Sitecore? You said Sitecore XP, but Sitecore every single day is evolving. Let's say one fine day Sitecore XP makes way for say Content Hub or for Sitecore SaaS or XM Cloud.
Yeah.
Would you still have that passion in you? Would you still carry through that flame and continue on this Sitecore journey?
Yeah. So the thing is, I mentioned Sitecore XP just because right now, the way the transformation is happening with Sitecore products is still in progress. What I can say. So right now, if I think from the customer's point of view, it basically still Sitecore XP is still lovable by the clients, but I will be still there in the community, that's for sure. Because what we are trying to do right now is we are trying to get the insights of each and every product. So something like Sitecore Content Hub 1, Sitecore Content Hub itself, then Sitecore XM Cloud, Search now, which is Find or Search. So we are trying to get the insights of all the composable different products, which ultimately come together and work as a XP, I would say. So we are. I mean, I'm also exploring. We are exploring at my organization, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to come up with some kind of understanding that where we can help the community and as well as the client. So answer to your question maybe is yeah, I'm still there, and I don't think so I'm gonna go somewhere else. Even Sitecore XP is not there. But yeah, uh, when I say that, I mean basically site the different features of the Sitecore XP are now as a part of composable or a SaaS product from Sitecore, which gives more strength. So of course I will love to implement different things and integrate with each other and provide some solution to different customers which will come in the future. So but that also gives me a thought which I wanted to share right now is that means Sitecore is getting more strong now, because it's going into a scenario where in current situation which is already needed by different customers, and because they are doing this in a good manner, that will actually help all the community member and as well as Sitecore and as well as the client of Sitecore to build a very strong platform with more features in the digital space.
You rightly said, Sitecore as a platform is evolving. If Sitecore were
Yeah,
stagnant at one point, and if they were to continue on XP or any of the topologies for years on, then that's a cause of concern. But here
yeah,
you've got this amazing digital experience platform that has been evolving over the years, that has been adapting to the latest challenges that customers are facing, and it's amazing to see that journey. And it's amazing to see that you're passionate about following that journey, because we don't want you to go anywhere. I know you for years. I know your passion. I don't want that passion to be lost. So keep up that passion, Nikhil. Um,
yeah,
Going back to, I know I have seen some of your customer success stories. I've been a part of it, fortunately. But I think it'll be wonderful if you can also share a small snippet of say one of your customer success stories when working with Sitecore as a platform. How did Sitecore provide value to a customer success journey from, say, one of your experience helping that journey basically?
Yeah. So when so there are actually a lot of success stories with different customers, but one of the success story I think which happened when I was working with you actually. So that was in New Zealand. I was working for one of the client of us, which works in the space of utility sector, um, and they wanted to I would say migrate their platform from AWS to Azure. That's first goal for them. The second one was they wanted to upgrade the version of Sitecore from 8.2 to at that point in time it was 9.2, which was the latest one that point in time. And they wanted to do everything in one go, and that challenge came to us, specifically me and you, and I was more involved. You was helping me on big picture. Um, so there the challenge I would suggest, I would like to first tell the challenge there. The challenge was how we can migrate something which is already built on AWS, and then transfer to Azure. So then what we done is we actually went to Sitecore and asked them that, is there any thing or a guide or any script or anything what they can provide us to get that entire platform shifted from AWS to Azure? And unfortunately the answer was no, but there was a help from Sitecore that they said, um, if we go on Sitecore Managed Cloud, which was newly launched at that point in time, then we can surely figure out the way with the Sitecore expert and as well as from my team to get the platform lifted and shifted to Azure. So we started that. It was very first implementation of Sitecore Managed Cloud in entire New Zealand, and it went successfully. So that was the first success story within that project. But the overall project was to also upgrade the Sitecore from 8.2 to 9.2, and it might sounds like it might be just done in a quick way by getting a help from Sitecore and then porting over the custom components from 8.2 to 9.2. But there was a trick, because the vendor who managed this 8.2 was done a reverse engineering of Sitecore JSS, and they started implementing that on 8.2, which was not the case in case of support. So what we done is we just removed that JSS. We recreated everything in the Sitecore 9.2, and then we in simultaneously we were migrating the existing component of Sitecore from 8.2 to 9.2, and that is how we got it. And the last challenge was, at the same time the client wanted to have a personalization engine for their omni-channel experiences. When I say that, in a very short insight, it was an engine which will help the client to provide their different details from Sitecore to different channels, like their mobile app, their React websites, their own Sitecore website, and different platforms. So and that point in time what we done is we figured out a way that we can create a custom engine in the Sitecore by the help of Sitecore JSS rendering APIs, and then we basically created that entire engine and we delivered that. And ultimately what happened with that is they got the recognition by Sitecore that they have done it very smoothly. Basically we have done it very smoothly, and client got the appreciation and recognition from the Sitecore for the success story for personalize it in space of some personalization. I don't remember the exact name of the recognition, but that was the recognition they got. So I think that's the success story I can share, which went well, with so many different things, and bold requirements for the client. So yeah, we done that very smoothly, with no issues, and it's still a success story for that particular client right now.
It's amazing, right? You
Yeah.
know, um, I still, every now and then, go onto that retail provider's website, and I subscribe to services. And I know that some of those functionalities were built by a team that involved us. And I also know that most of those functionalities are currently managed by a team that we know, a team that is very passionate about working on similar tools. So, when you are a part of something that is important to a customer, when you know that it's their core revenue generating stream, and you provided value to it, so it makes you extra happy. So I can imagine how happy you are and how that success story sticks with you. But as with any sort of platform, as with any sort of technology, as with any sort of project implementation, with success comes failures, comes challenges. What can you I know this, as a professional, all of us have been through that multiple times, but can you pick one that has stood out for you in terms of a challenge where, one, it was a really good challenge to be through, it was extremely challenging, and two, coming out of the challenge, there was something significant that you learned, something that you still carry with you. Is there something that you can share with us?
Yeah. The challenge which I face, I would like to share a challenge which I recently faced actually, and specifically with the product of Sitecore, which is Sitecore Content Hub. So there was a requirement asked by my customer that they wanted to do something. How I can explain that? So the requirement was to figure out the expiry of the asset. So for that, what they have done is, there is already a functionality, or I would say the property given to the assets in Sitecore Content Hub, for different assets of my client, where they try to give the expiration, basically a creation date of the asset, and from which you can calculate the expiry date, like after 4 years, 5 years. So you have to figure out the different charts of the assets, and then you basically calculate the expiry. And then they wanted to trigger a different kind of notifications uh, for their asset managers, or the people who actually created those assets, that look, this was the asset you uploaded, and now this is going to get expired in next 1 month or 2 month or 3 month, whatever it is, as per the client's requirement. And I was like, oh yeah, we can do it, because I was, before this particular project, I never used Cyber Content Hub. And my thought process from other digital asset management system was like something like Binder, that these kind of functionality are inbuilt, because these are the regular functionalities what you might need in your day-to-day life of this kind of space where you are managing the digital assets. But surprisingly, I figured out that there is no out of the box feature from Sitecore that they would try and get this information for us, because they don't even provide the date of creation in case of when the asset is created from their metadata. And I'm not saying from when it is uploaded. So that was a challenge, and that I figured out when I say yes to client. So I was in a situation that, oh, I said yes to client, now what I'm gonna do. And then I sat down one fine day from the morning, and I tried to figure out different things with the Sitecore. uh, and that's why I to be before I tell you what I did, I would appreciate Sitecore, that's why I like Sitecore. So I figured out that uh, even if Sitecore is not providing this kind of feature, and even not the properties in the product, they still provide you to customize the thing, which is a wonderful feature of Sitecore. I would say in general, any of the Sitecore product. So the solution I what I done or I figured out is, I created a Azure function which was basically connected with my Sitecore Content Hub. And what it was doing is it was polling with the schedule defined by me, and it was polling to Sitecore Content Hub and trying to figure out and get all the asset details, all the assets which are already there in the Content Hub. And then I implemented few filters according to what sort of data I want, or basically the asset type I want. And after getting that filter list of asset, then it was very easy for me, because I was having those business rule from my client that if this type of asset is there, their expiry date would be after 5 years or maybe after 3 years. And then after doing that logic, uh, I was happy because now I got my answer that I can do it with Sitecore. It's the only thing is that I have to extend and do a customization. It's not out of the box, but it is still implementable. And the thing is, because it's a customized thing, you can add as many as business rules as you want to make sure that you are not even skipping that 0.01% of probability of missing anything of the business requirement. So if I sum up this one, it basically given me a feeling that this is an amazing product, because even if it's not providing out of the box, it tells you that if you can create a custom thing for yourself, if you are ready to create that, then we are also ready to accommodate that custom thing. And so this was a challenge. I overcome it, because I was just doing some research with the product. And I figured out that, and this is not first time, any challenges I face with any product of Sitecore, I figured out that at the end of the day, with all the best practices, you can still achieve the particular business requirement you want with Sitecore. And I think that makes Sitecore unique from other digital platforms in the space right now.
100%, 100%. I completely agree with that. There was a few different things that stood out for me from your answer. One was Sitecore is an ecosystem. Sitecore is not just a platform. You rightly said you used Microsoft Azure and Azure functions to provide value to the customer because there was a way of integrating your Azure functions with Sitecore.
Correct.
Another thing that stood out was how passionate you were to solve your customers' problems. You wanted to ensure that you don't miss that 0.0.0.1 or 0.01% of the customer's requirements. You wanted to ensure that they were completely supported. So that shows how much you're involved, how much your passion is, and I have appreciated that quite a bit. And I think there's quite a lot of learnings that others listening to this podcast can take through. Nikhil, one more question, and one last question, I promise.
No issues.
What sort of learning or key learning or feedback would you wish to share with our audience? That is number one. But I'd also like to add an addendum question to it. What sort of advice would you give to professionals who are, just beginning their Sitecore journey, who are just getting introduced to Sitecore? Anything that you wish to share?
Yeah. So the first one I would like to say to the community, which is maybe there from quite a some time now, uh, that if you're working with any of the Sitecore product, Sitecore ecosystem product, and if you have any business requirement from your client, or even if you are creating some POC, or you're creating just some basic MVP, you might be doing some accelerator to boost your business, anything. It doesn't mean that you're doing just for the client. It might be you're doing some accelerator for your company to stood out and show that you have a capability. I would suggest that you do a thorough reading of different Sitecore documentation from Site. I believe that most of the answers what you are trying to figure out to achieve something what you want to achieve out of the product is hidden in that particular documentations from Sitecore. um, and then, even if you have any smaller doubt, I would suggest you might be using the Sitecore community and ask different sort of questions what you have, which will actually give you uh, different thought processes to get the answers. And one of my and that's how I wanted to share one of my learning, that where I was figuring out something to provide my client, which is like creating a API where they can share the data from Sitecore for older Sitecore version, where when the query happens for Sitecore from different channels or different platforms, it should go through a tunnel of security which was implemented in a different platforms, and then that data should get transferred from Sitecore to that platform, and whatever the response coming from that platform should go to the Sitecore. Now the challenge was, I never done that. I figured out so many documentation on the documentation website of Sitecore. Sitecore even never introduced themselves with that particular platform. And I was in a limbo situation where how I can do this, because I was having no clue to get even started. But then I reach out to community and I tried to get that answer from the community. And luckily, I got an answer, not exactly for my solution, but something similar in a very different product. With the product which those people used was very popular product. So um, when I saw that particular solution, I was in a thought like, oh, it might be because that particular product is also popular product. Site features also hidden features where they can integrate, and I just left it like, no, it's not helpful. But then I revisited, I went through that entire article again and again, 2 to 3 times, and then I understood that even if I just follow this particular approach for my product, and even if I get failed, I won't be losing anything. So I started doing that. I got some answers, then I got some findings, and at the end of that particular research, I got the stuff what I wanted. So learning is, don't leave your research about the product, and don't even leave the hope of not getting the solution of that particular issue which you are trying to figure out with the community, with the documentation, and with the ecosystem. And that's how the ecosystem is grown right now, and that's how the community is also grown now. So just long story short, have a faith, and then get the help of different community experts. I'm sure that you will get your answers one day. It might take some time to get the answer from someone, but you will surely get. So that is one of the learning for maybe the people, or what I actually got for myself as a learning. That's why I wanted to share this one. And one thing which I will tell the people who are might be coming to Sitecore platform or ecosystem, or who just recently started with some development, some Sitecore development with some product, I would say that welcome first to the community. And I also would say that you are I would say you are cross skilling to a good platform or a ecosystem where you will learn so many different things which will help you to boost your profile and as well as to boost your learnings, and even that will also give this particular community and ecosystem will also give you those projects which might be your dream project, and which might be a project or a solution where you always wanted to work with. Because first thing, Sitecore ecosystem is a digital ecosystem. That means all the trending digital platforms you might be interacting, having said that, with Sitecore. And that means that you will get more learning. So for the newcomers or who might be in the space for last 1.5 year, uh, you have so many different community experts who will help you in your journey of learning Sitecore and different Sitecore platforms. They will also stood behind you to help in case of certain situations for you. Any situation doesn't mean that just for some problems within your projects or something, like any situation. And you have so many different events where you can join the people and enjoy and get the fun done. So I think that would be the learning, or maybe the um, thought process I will try to transfer to the people who are joining newly to the community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Excellent, Nikhil. Excellent.
Yeah.
There you go, everyone. That is Nikhil Kulkarni for you. Nikhil, just rewinding, Nikhil is a solution architect currently working in the Netherlands. He has been with Psycho for a while. We've heard his passion, we've heard his voice of success. And I'm sure that someone somewhere sitting and listening to this with a coffee in their hand, and with their mobile um, video playing this particular podcast, I think there's definitely going to be some learning, some feedback, some excitement, some motivation that they can take back. Um, that is the reason why we've kind of come up with this idea. That is the reason why Nikhil's kind of strived to set up this particular channel, the set of videos. This is the beginning, and since it was the beginning, since it was the first one, I have been fortunate to come in and introduce the creator himself. So Nikhil Kulkarni, thanks so much for joining today. And to all of our audience, we'll meet you soon in episode number 2, the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Nonit. Thank you, and it's a pleasure speaking with you anytime. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.